Star Wars The Heart of the Jedi by Kenneth C. Flint. Chapter 28. The rotund little man completed hooking up wires to Luke and moved back to his sinister bank of equipment. Doctor, said Tharkus, observing the preparations, you are quite certain this, device of yours will not kill him outright. Should not do so, man absently replied, fiddling with dials and levers. Should not? What do you mean? The doctor looked up at him. Oh, well, the humanoid adapted version of my mental transmogrifier has not actually been tested yet on an organic being. I have been seeking a proper subject. He looked to Luke in glee. This one should be perfect. Such strong will. Yes, well, it will avail me nothing if you destroy him in breaking that will, Doctor, Darkus said doubtfully. At lower power levels, it will certainly not do that, the other assured. Some minor cell damage, maybe. A few burst capillaries, nothing crippling. And at higher levels? If his resistance is strong enough to require them. Well, yes, there is more danger. I don't know about this, Tharkus said with yet more doubt. What other choice is there, High Admiral? Oh, excuse me, wrong voice. What other choice is there, High Admiral? Asked Kontos. No ordinary means will overcome a Jedi's powers. Tharkus sighed in reluctant acceptance. Very well. He waved the doctor on. Proceed. The doctor smiled with pleasure. He eagerly snapped a switch. The hum of rising power sounded from the machine. Tharkus stepped close to Luke. You heard all that, he said. We will not relent until you are broken. You must agree. No, Luke said. You have to know I'll die before I help you. Then you will die, Tharkus said flatly. He lifted a hand to signal the doctor to start, but paused as a voice called out. There's a group coming in! He turned around the others to look towards the approaching band. First, across the beach towards them strode Han, Chewie, Valadian, and the droid. Behind them moved Goen and Leia, the man urging on the rest with a blaster to the head. Leia, said Luke in anguish. Han! Senator Valadian, said Tharkus with surprise. Just what is it we have here? Take their weapons and cover them, Kontos ordered his squad, and the stormtroopers moved out to surround and disarm the little group as it came up to the war machine. They were going to try a rescue, High Admiral, Goen explained smugly. They followed you here in the Millennium Falcon. So, you escaped after all, said Tharkus. And Valadian with you. He looked to Goen. And who are you? You know, sir, the young man said. In an instant, light enveloped his body. In a few more seconds, he was another cadaverous being of bluish, translucent skin. Castor, said Tharkus. My brother! The other shapeshifter joyously moved up to embrace his twin. Really? Pollux and Castor? They're not from this galaxy. They don't have Greek mythology here. And not only is it a galaxy far, far away, it's a long time ago. Let's see. Goen! No, Goen, said Leia, who with her comrades had watched the transformation in horror. What's happened to him? Probably dead, Luke said. Indeed so, said the being called Castor. I intercepted the young prince of Galvani III when he first arrived at your new base. It was Castor's idea to go there, said his brother, patting the other pridefully, to provide some alternative plan should the droid fail. The prince provided the perfect disguise, added the twin. Not a difficult identity to assume. Really a very shallow man. Precaution was rewarding for us, too. As you arrived, the ambush on Pel Kadar put me in the ideal spot to guarantee you wouldn't interfere. But you could have been killed with us at the attack. A small price to pay for a successful mission, the being said stolidly. You see that their skill in deception is overmatched only by their loyalty, said Tharkus. I congratulate you both. Good thing you didn't get any closer to that little creep, Leia, said Han. Solo, the shapeshifter grated angrily. He stepped up and whipped Han sideways across the skull with the blaster's barrel. Han staggered back, hand going to a ragged cut on his temple. I promised you that for your treatment of me, Aster said. You deserve more. You can have your fun with them later, said Tharkus. For now, we need them alive and intact. What do you mean? Asked Leia. Your young friend there, whom you were so anxious to save, has been reluctant to aid us. Oh, misspelled aid. They spelled aid like a person with an E at the end, not AID to help. He explained. He said that he would die before any power of ours might persuade him. Now it will not be necessary to find out. Doctor, disconnect him. Disconnect? Said the man in dismay. But my machine. You will have to test it on someone else. We have been given by fortune a much more certain way of bringing Skywalker to behave. Do it. It never fails, the man grumbled, but moved to detach the wires from Luke's hands and feet. As he did, Tharkus moved up close to speak to Luke. How about it, young Jedi? You would not act to save your own life. You act to save the lives of your friends. Hey, Luke, Han called. What's he want you to do? Take him inside the temple, the Jedi replied. They think they can disrupt the Force that way. What? How? There's something in there. The heart of the Jedi, it's called, Tharkus supplied. A kind of link to the Force's pure flow in the galaxy. Soon it will cease to flow to your rebel cause. Pure Force, said Leia. No wonder I've been. She cut off abruptly, clearly realizing she might reveal too much of her own powers. Tharkus still picked up on it. You've felt its influence too, he said. So have I. Like the charged air before an electrical storm. It seems to heighten the senses. Most exhilarating. Would you really hurt them if I don't obey? Asked Luke, purposely drawing the man's attention from the Force and his sister back to him. You believe that I would bluff you? Asked the High Admiral with a smile. If you could see the wreckage drifting not far from this planet, you would not doubt my ruthlessness. We saw it, said Han. You wiped out hundreds of unarmed ships. A refugee fleet? Said Luke, aghast. That's right. Oh, whoops. That's right. Plus, he slaughtered a bunch of his own senators, the whole peace committee. Except for Valadian, said Tharkus thoughtfully. You are more tenacious than I'd first thought, old man. Yes, the senator replied boldly. Your trap missed me. Your scheme has failed. On the contrary, the other countered, it's gone quite well. He turned and strode to the ring of stormtroopers as he went on. At this very moment, the rumor is spreading there was the treacherous rebels who tricked our poor and misguided senators just to massacre them. He stopped before a trooper, his back to the prisoners. A renewed war fever is no doubt becoming quite rampant now. Except that I know otherwise, said Valadian. Yes. Tharkus spun around with the trooper's blasters in his hands. Unfortunate you pointed that out for you. He fired once. The bolt struck Valadian squarely in his chest, jerking him back as it pierced through to erupt from his spine. The senator toppled limply, dead, but he hit the sand. Leia gasped in horror at this swift, brutal murder of an old friend. Han and Luke were clearly also jolted by the callous act, staring in stunned disbelief. Even the Wookiee gave out a sharp cry of surprise. Do you have any more doubts of my sincerity? Tharkus asked Luke. He swung the blaster's muzzle across the rest. Or shall I demonstrate further? Luke, you can't let him get to the Force, Han said. Let him kill us, said Leia staunchly, her anguished look for Valadian and giving way to a resolute one as she steeled herself again. Stopping the Empire is the only important thing. Luke's agonized gaze went from them to the hard-faced High Admiral. He hesitated and then nodded defeatedly. I'll take you in. Let him down, Marcus ordered. Troopers moved in to release him from the poles. Once he was free, Leia ran to him. Oh, Luke, she said desperately. You shouldn't do it. As long as there's some life, there's still a chance, he murmured back. Troopers yanked her away and roughly pushed her back to the group. Han threw a protective arm around her, and Chewie snarled warningly. The troopers swiftly backed off. I'll need my lightsaber, Luke said to the High Admiral. I might have to use it. Nice try, Darkus said with a smile. But I'll just carry it along for you, in case it should be needed. What about them? Luke asked, nodding to his friend. They will be taken onto our transport here and confined under guard. Quite safely tucked away waiting for the outcome. You'll promise to release them afterwards? Once I've dealt with the Force, why not? Told him. They will be powerless to stop me, as will your fledgling New Republic. Let's get it over then, said Luke. Take them in, Kantos, commanded the High Admiral. May the Force be... Well, good luck, Han called to Luke as the surrounding stormtroopers closed in. At the general's direction, the four were prodded up the gangway into the armored machine. Han, the last, noted a sleek head ply up from the water some way offshore to watch him vanish inside. They were pushed along a gloomy corridor to its far end. A heavy hatch was opened. They were shoved into the bare, metalled wall cell beyond. The door clanged shut. Han, still holding his bleeding head wound, looked around the room. It was deeply shadowed except for a round patch of illumination in the center. A single ceiling light. Nice cheery place, he said. Let me see to that cut, said Leia, lifting hands towards it. Hold it, he said, grabbing the hands and stiffening. What's that? He looked into a dark corner. From it, a small beeping sound came. Then a cylindrical form rolled out into the light. R2, said Leia. It tweeted and squawked excitedly. It says that it came here with Master Luke, C-3PO translated. At his voice, the little droid gave a squeal and rolled to its metal friend, twittering happily. I am C-3PO, human-cyborg relations, the gold droid said in its monotone, looking down at R2. What unique designation are you? I'm sorry, R2, said Leia. Some awful things of the Empire wiped his personality clean. Afraid he doesn't know you. At this, R2 gave a long keen of grief, and put its round head up against his side. And you thought the Wookiee cry of surprise was bad. Here's R2's cry of anguish. Luke led Tharkus, the twin shapeshifters, and a dozen stormtroopers to the wall of the Jedi Temple. Luke's lightsaber now dangled on the High Admiral's belt. Very well. Now what? The High Admiral said. Have you some form of key? I don't know, Luke told him truthfully. It's only the true Jedis that will suppose it. It's only the true Jedi's will that's supposed to allow me to get in here. I may not have it. For your friend's sake, I hope you do, Darkus said. Try something. Well, this worked before, he said. He sat down cross-legged before the wall. As the others watched, he concentrated his full effort on the smooth surface of stone, face drawn in hard lines as he tensed, body quivering with strain. Within his mind, an image of Yoda came, memory of the past talk. Does the Force control your actions? He heard himself asking. Yes, but it also obeys your commands, the Jedi Master replied. Then Yoda's face became that of Obi-Wan, saying gravely, Never doubt the Force, Luke. Never doubt, the young Jedi repeated in his mind. He lifted both hands towards the wall, spread wide. He concentrated his full will upon the smooth and seamless surface before him. A section of the wall began to waver, becoming filmy and insubstantial, like an image glimpsed through a heat haze. Then, as if it were a mirage on the desert, it simply vanished away. In the place of the piece of solid wall, there was now an arched portal, both high and wide, apparently cut neatly from the stone. They all moved forward to examine it curiously. Darkus looked up at the pointed arch 50 feet above him, and at the 20-foot thickness of the wall as he led the way on through it. The twins walked side by side just behind him, with Luke and the guarding troopers bringing up the rear. As Tharkas stepped into the temple, he recoiled and stopped. His look shocked. The others moved up behind him to see what he had seen. Humanoid skeleton, the tattered remains of clothes laid stretched on the ground before them, bony arms stretched out before it, as if in supplication. What happened to him? Asked one of the shapeshifters in revulsion. Not sure, said Luke. It could be he was using enough in the Force to open the doorway, but not strong enough to keep it open after he was inside. So he got trapped here. Then the Force killed him? Said the other twin. The Force doesn't act aggressively against life, told him. This one killed himself trying to achieve something he wasn't entitled to. He looked at Tharkas, added pointedly. Are you sure you want to continue? I may not be strong enough to keep this door open myself. If something happens to me, it's pretty sure you'll never get out. I'll take my chances, Tharkas said firmly. Move on. Luke gazed carefully around him. A wide, curved corridor between walls curved away out of sight in both directions. To the right, another opening leading onto the temple was visible. Luke considered standing rock still, head cocked as if listening, and he nodded. All right, he said and pointed to the left. That way. I can see an opening the other way, said Tharkas. Wrong way. But, High Admiral, you have to trust me, Luke told him. You want me to lead you or not? Very well, seated. Let him go ahead, he ordered the troopers, but not too far, and keep him well covered. Luke began to walk along the corridor, the others close behind. Some looked back to see the doorway into the forbidding place vanish behind the bend. Others looked up at the sheer, unclimbable walls looming high above. Another wall appeared some way ahead, blocking the corridor from a dead end. But before reaching it, they came upon another opening, leading to the interior. The young Jedi led them through it. There are lots of blind alleys, Luke commented as he turned left along the new corridor. The whole temple is really a gigantic maze. There must be hundreds of miles of it, one shapeshifter said. And just how do you know the way, Jedi? Tharkas asked Luke. The Force again. It's another test of my powers. I can sense the heart inside. It's leading me. Without that, we'd be lost. They came upon the grisly evidence of this soon. As they came through yet another opening into a new corridor, they found that in one direction it ended shortly in a blocking wall. In the corner of the dead end crouched another skeleton, the legs drawn up close and wrapped by its arms. Looks like this one gave up and sat down to die, said Luke. Wonder how many more there are scattered around these blind alleys. Just keep going, surged. And then they went on, moving ever deeper that vast labyrinth.